What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. And I'll just come out and say it. NASCAR 25 has won me over within the last 24 hours. Now, should they really be winning gamers over a handful of hours for release? I don't think that would be the case. You would assume that they would have put together maybe more complete packages of what they've done in this game, but I've obviously went over, looked at what they've done in career mode, seems very, very solid. I, though, learned the most, I think, from Ty Majeski's video where he went out at Phoenix and then at Kansas. And it's a little concerning to me that I don't see a lot of people using a wheel when they test this game. I would assume that most people they realize would be using a wheel. I know there's a lot of people that are bringing the sentiment that this is Heat 4 kind of reskinned. I don't know that I believe that either. This to me looks like maybe you have the foundation of NASCAR Heat with the addition of iRacing's scans and assets, which, if that's the case, then by all means, it should be a solid game. I still do have a lot of fears about how the physics in this game are going to work because I've seen some things that are very questionable, but I've also heard Ty say some things that were very refreshing to me, like the car seemed to start off a little tighter, develop a little looser. He was using the apron to kind of arc the car, unsettle the car so it would turn. He said that as he progressed through the field, it got harder and harder to pass. But he did still go from relatively back in the pack to mid front of the pack with what I would call ease, or more ease than I would like to see. We did also finally see the full car setup, which includes spring rates, bump stops, rebound, camber. It's going to be interesting to see how all of those things truly reflect and how a car setup will function. I mentioned I do have some of my old ARCA setups that I imagine maybe I will attempt to use in a few hours. It is also very nice to have the tire wear, the temperature kind of on that heads-up display. Not all games did that. You just have to cycle through and look. It does seem like it can be a really fun game when it comes to shorter races. I don't really know how environment, light, day, cold, hot, how all of that is going to make a race more interesting. And those are really things that impact real race teams, real racing, adjusting for transitions. If you watch a lot of NASCAR, if you listen to a lot of spotters, you'll hear setting a car up for that transition. You know, the car might start out looser than you want it to be or tighter than you want it to be because you're aiming for a specific segment of weather where the track is going to react. I will, again, just touch on this. I feel like if this is going to be how they release information going forward, there needs to be some defined structure. I went back and I looked. One of the things that Madden and EA do is set out kind of a roadmap for where content is going to be. If that's available, I couldn't find it. Part of the problem is that I couldn't find it, and I went looking. You know, there needs to be from Monster Games, and I just want to clear something up because a lot of people are saying, oh, this is their first year. This is not their first year. Monster Games worked with a lot of racing games. They need to lay out a clear path, a defined way of this is when this goes up, this is the channel it goes up on. This is what's being shown here, this is where it can be seen and when. And you need to get a defined list of drivers, of NASCAR drivers that you're going to work with. I would also really prefer if we could get a crew chief or two to go through and talk about these things. Try to make the game a little bit more involved than what it is. Now, as far as PC is concerned, I'm really waiting for PC too. Not that I'm going to get the game on PC. I just want to see how PC reacts to it. Because the interesting part about this is iRacing is not going to work in a partnership with something that's going to impact their own product. They really can't compete with themselves to a degree. So I'm really intrigued at who they're trying to market this for. I want to close a couple minutes just talking about this whole concept that we've seen with Ty today of running from the back to the front. One of the things that was really, really good about the Heat series was you had to work your way up. You had to build your way up to get a top ride. You struggled to compete. You ran mid pack. Either the equipment or you weren't good enough. You needed a blend of both to be competitive. That is something I really, really hope this game nails. Because one of the best things about racing games is it doesn't come down to just win or lose. There's a variety of ways you can achieve a good finish and play the game to the best of the car and your ability. And that should be rewarding. That is not like any other sport where it's defined simply as a win or a loss. I know Ricky Bobby will tell you, if you're not first, you're last. But I think as a gamer, you can have more rewarding experiences getting in a truck that generally runs mid pack and finishing 10th, getting in a truck that's never had a top 25, finishing 19th. That can be just as rewarding as getting in a car that is expected to run up front and then runs up front. As far as some of the other concerns people have about, the burnouts, to me, I guess my problem with that is I don't understand how hard that can be to put in, right? How hard can it be to render just portion of the track and let someone do a burnout? I feel like that can easily be put in the game. And honestly, I still do have concerns if we haven't put that in. What else are we really missing? And as far as the clouds are concerned, again, and I'm going to tie this back into what I said before. Clouds are weather, if you're not aware. And if you don't have some type of dynamic weather, then clouds are a ridiculous thing to talk about because clouds are going to create a cooler track, a cooler environment. There used to be a time where you would want cloud cover during your qualifying run because it would allow you to run faster. So hopefully these are things that they understand are big, big deals, right? It is a big deal to do a complete weather transition and have it affect 43 cars, in some cases, all of them differently. And I do expect that, just to be blunt, to take 2 to 3 years of developing a game to get right. So hopefully they're taking this approach of before we put it in the game, we're going to get it right. But that is a double-edged sword because, as I said, the simple thing, like just render one car in a portion of the track to do a burnout, we're not doing. Versus the bigger thing, like a full spectrum of humidity, cloud cover, shade, all of these things, we're also not doing. So other than that, a couple hours, have this game in my hands. I can confidently say I'm excited for it, and that means that I'll be back in the week with more commentary.